So you're curious about Whiterun's importance to the Civil War, and that led you to this video. The simple answer to the question is that it's the trade hub of Skyrim, and this comes with a storied history. I could end this video here, but that's not really why you'd click on one of my videos. If you're here, that most likely means that you want more detail. You want to explore and analyse this topic thoroughly by taking a look at all the factors that make Whiterun into such a cultural and economic powerhouse in Skyrim, and that's exactly what this video will be about. Whiterun is such an iconic city when it comes to Skyrim. I touched a little bit on why in my first video, but for many people this is the first city that you'll come across in your first playthrough. But beyond the numerous quests to be had in Whiterun lies an extremely intriguing aspect: its precarious state as a powerhouse stuck exactly in the middle of two sides of the Civil War. During that questline, both the Imperials and the Stormcloaks share a desire to control Whiterun for similar reasons, but why go to such lengths to achieve this desire? What is it that makes Whiterun's benefits so significant for both sides? To figure this out, the video is going to be split into two chapters. Chapter 1 will look at the economic status of Whiterun. What does the hold possess that makes it so lucrative? And Chapter 2 will examine the history and cultural importance of the city to the people of Skyrim, and how this ties in with the topic of this video. Hopefully by the end, we'll establish a more in-depth idea of the importance of this ancient city. Really quickly before we start, if you think this video was worth your time, please consider liking this video and subscribing, because this gets the channel closer to its goals. Anyway, get comfy, grab a drink, fix your posture, and let's get into the analysis. According to a loading screen in Skyrim, Whiterun is the trade hub of the province. Not only does this mean that most trade in Skyrim happens within these city walls, but it is likely that Whiterun facilitates quite a lot of trade exports to other provinces too, at least when it comes to transporting these goods on land. What does Whiterun possess to make this the case though? Let's take a closer look. We'll look firstly at the amount of resources the hold can produce. There are three main settlements in Whiterun Hold: Riverwood, Rorikstead, and of course, Whiterun. These three settlements all contribute towards Whiterun's economy and thus will be taken into consideration. Firstly, let's take a look at Whiterun's farming industry. Whiterun has three main farms, in addition to Rorikstead. The first farm is Battleborn Farm. This produces gird, leeks, wheat, chicken, beef, milk, and eggs. Next, we have Chilfaro Farm, which produces cabbage, wheat, chicken, beef, milk, and eggs. Last in the main farms is Pelagia Farm, which easily produces the most amount of produce out of the three. Here you'll find cabbages, leeks, potatoes, chicken, beef, milk, and eggs. Whiterun Hold is also home to Rorikstead, a small farming village close to the Reach. In Rorikstead we can find pretty much everything we just talked about, but it can also be implied from the quest A Night to Remember that Rorikstead also has at least a few goats, which can produce extra dairy products. Further to the fauna previously mentioned, these can also be harvested for hide, which can go into producing leather or fur goods. Also note that many of these farms possess windmills too, which they can use to create grain. It is clear that Whiterun Hold has an extensive farming industry, which no doubt makes it a staple of trade in Skyrim. Other holds likely cannot farm many of the products that Whiterun can due to their climate, which will result in them needing to trade for it, to Whiterun's advantage. In addition, there is plenty of opportunity to extend the farming capabilities of this hold due to its size and relatively agreeable climate compared to other holds. Further to farming though, Whiterun is also incredibly lucrative when it comes to hunting, as is the case with Anariath being the co-founder of a hunting tavern, and selling meat from his kills in the Whiterun market. While Whiterun is mainly known for its farming industry, Indeed, farms dominate the area immediately outside the walls of the city. It also has capabilities to produce other raw resources. Take mining, for example. A stone's throw northwest of Whiterun lays Halted Stream Camp. It is overrun by bandits, true, however, it would not be too difficult to clear them out and make this a fully functioning iron mine. Initially, I thought Embershard Mine could be included here too, but it turns out that is just over the border into Falkreathold. Whiterun doesn't just contain the facilities to produce crops and ore though. Something else that Whiterun has the capability to produce is, surprisingly, lumber. This is of course only being produced in Riverwood at Gerda and Hod's mill. However, because trees are a renewable resource in that they can be replanted, in future more lumber mills could be created along the river east of Whiterun. So far, we've established that Whiterun is capable of producing a huge range of raw goods, but what is it that it does with all of these? Well, because of the scale of this raw goods production, Whiterun has a thriving market for manufactured goods. To explain this, let's start with an example, Honningbrew Meadery. Although the ingredients for this are not stated in Skyrim itself, they are in the Elder Scrolls cookbook, and based on this it's likely that the ingredients are imported from various provinces in Tamriel. Despite this, the mead is still produced and sold within Whiterunhold itself, and this of course boosts the economy. Now, take the process for Honningbrew Meadery and apply it to the other businesses in Whiterun, of which it has a total of 3 blacksmiths, 1 alchemist, 2 general goods stores, and also a Khajiit campsite where rare goods can be imported and exported. All of these of course directly trade in manufactured goods made from raw materials, which can then be sold within the hold or externally for profit, which makes up a good part of Whiterun's sustainable economy. So, as we've now established, Whiterun is able to produce its own raw materials and then manufacture goods from these. Having a strong economy when it comes to raw and manufactured materials is one thing, but most holds in Skyrim produce raw materials and goods from them. So what is it that sets Whiterun apart from these other holds? Well, it's the fact that Whiterun Hold does much more than just trade in raw and manufactured goods. In addition to everything mentioned already, Whiterun also has a significant tourism industry, at least in the sense that we recognise tourism today. Take the Temple of Kinnereth in Whiterun for example. This in and of itself likely brings pilgrims to the city, who subsequently contribute to the economy by renting lodgings, in addition to supplies like clothes and food, all of which are produced locally. Add to this too the fact that the Gildergreen and Skyforge are located in Whiterun too, and it's likely that tourists come to view these things as well as the temple. Another contributor to Whiterun's economy is the fact that it is the home of the Companions, a guild steeped in Nordic tradition and history. This guild, as we can observe in the game, gets new recruits frequently who will live in Jorvaskr. These will also contribute to the local economy.
When he met the shield maiden Matilda, who said, "Oh, you talk and you lie and you drink all our mead. Now I think it's high time that you lie down and bleed."
The final contributor that warrants discussion is of course Whiterun's taverns. All of the people living and visiting Whiterun need somewhere to unwind, socialise and sleep. That's where the 4 taverns that the Hold has come into play. 2 in the main city and then 2 more along the roads that lead to Whiterun. There's no doubt that these taverns make huge profits based on the amount of people that pass through them. So far in this video, we've established that Whiterun Hold, in particular the city itself, has a booming economy, but the economy is only so powerful because of the combined power of the Hold as a whole. Travelling in Skyrim is perilous, particularly when travelling with expensive goods, even if going by the main roads. None of Whiterun's trade would be able to happen if not for the fact that it has military installations dotted all along the main roads, such as Fort Greymoor and Fort Sungard. Yes, these fortresses can be found overtaken by bandits and Forsworn, but in the Civil War questline they can be observed to be taken over by whichever faction the Dragonborn supports. There is also Valtheim Towers to the east of Whiterun that can serve as a checkpoint for people entering and leaving the hold, similar actually to what the bandits already use it for in-game. The important takeaway here is that Whiterun Hold is littered with intact installations that can be used to guard traders and tourists on the road to the main city, which then provides safety and security, and this would likely lead to more confidence trading in Whiterun. We've covered a lot in this chapter, so let's sum up. Whiterun is a hold that has an incredibly strong economy, set on a foundation of it being able to produce its own raw resources and then manufacture these to sell to local businesses. This is boosted by a rich history and significant locations within the city that attract pilgrims and visitors from all over Tamriel. On top of this is Whiterun's tourism industry, with its multiple successful inns and safe roads to attract visitors to the city. When you put all of this together, Whiterun is an incredibly lucrative hold to have under your banner, whether you are General Tullius or Ulfric Stormcloak. However, this isn't the only reason that both sides desire Whiterun, and this leads me to the second chapter of this video. This chapter is a bit shorter than the previous, and that's because Whiterun's history is largely intertwined with that of the rest of the province. Despite that, there are still some notable events that need to be talked about. This is a city that dates back thousands of years, and it is no wonder that the Nords recognized the cultural significance of it to the province. As such, let's start all the way from the beginning. The founding of Whiterun dates back to the Merethic era, during the years that Ysgramor and his 500 companions settled the land, when they happened upon the Skyforge. If Songs of the Return Volume 7 is to be taken as true, as a result of the wondrous discovery of the Skyforge, the companions built Jorrvaskr. It was given such a name likely out of closest to Ysgramor. Jorrvaskr was the ship that his closest friends arrived to Tamriel on, and so it was this ship that formed Jorrvaskr. From there, the great city of Whiterun would be built around the Mead Hall, with the hold extending its arms to encompass places such as Hroldan in the modern-day Reach and Vollenrud in the modern-day Pale. In the years to come, Skyrim would be plunged into chaos with its Jarls fighting for supremacy and the right to be called High King, all while the dragon Numinex wreaked havoc indiscriminately. Jarl Olaf One-Eye would be the individual to put an end to this beast, even if this story was disputed at the time by a bard known as Svafnir. What cannot be doubted are the results of this historic battle. Even to this day stands Dragonreach, and the skull of Numinex sitting proudly above the throne, eternally part of Whiterun's heritage. To this day also are the Battleborns and Greymanes, two of Whiterun's oldest and proudest noble families. The Civil War has sparked a feud between these two great clans, but it is likely that a victory in the war, one way or the other, would solve this, for better or worse. Regardless though, these two families are a significant piece of Whiterun's history. Aside from above, and touched on in the previous chapter, Whiterun is home to some significant locations. Something that certainly warrants discussion is the Gildergreen. This is an ancient tree grown from the sapling of one of the oldest living things in Tamriel, that supposedly traces its roots back to the original founding of the city. Accompanying this tree, of course, is the Temple of Kinnereth, likely erected as a response to the growing popularity of pilgrimage to the Gilder Green itself. The only of its kind in Skyrim, the temple focuses on healing the wounded, something that is sorely lacking in Skyrim during the Civil War. There's one more topic I want to touch on here. While technically its own location owing to the seclusion of its inhabitants and their apathy for the struggles of the world below, the Throat of the World is also part of Whiterun Hold's history. Known about possibly by only Ulfric in terms of the Civil War, this location is actually key to the Dragonborn prophecy. When the Snow Tower lies sundered, kingless, bleeding, the World Eater wakes, and the wheel turns upon the last Dragonborn. If Ulfric were to believe this prophecy, this could be a case of future planning. Aiding and encouraging the Dragonborn to follow this path would surely put Ulfric on the right side of history, just like it can be seen to do with Jarl Balgruuf in the events of Skyrim's main story. The main thing to take away from this section is that Whiterun is an ancient, storied city. Really, this is one of the first cities established in Skyrim, and by Ysgrimmar's companions no less. If, for no other reason, this should be why, especially Ulfric Stormcloak, should desire it. Regarding Tullius in this situation, it's likely that he would take Whiterun to discredit Ulfric. Failing to have such a significant city under the Stormcloak banner could be quite damaging to his legacy, or more likely to his own ego, seeing as how he is a man who subscribes to the old Nordic ways and has a respect for the Dragonborn. Let's go over what we've covered. So far in this video, we've discussed the two main reasons for Whiterun's significance to both sides, its strong economy and its storied history. As we've discovered though, these reasons are so much more than meets the eye. Whiterun Hold is a huge contributor to the overall trade for Skyrim, and by extension a large contributor to the continent as a whole. If you want to sell goods in Skyrim, look no further than Whiterun, with its shops, markets and easy access to other holds. As a bonus, there's even space for potential new businesses, with plenty of land outside the city's walls ripe for development, as in the case of some of its more recent businesses such as the Honningbrew Meadery. In addition to this is Whiterun's history and cultural significance for the Nords. This is one of the original cities in Skyrim, built around the mead hall of the Companions, Ysgrimmar's closest friends, and now home to a guild under the same name. Not only this, but Dragon's Reach itself was constructed in the celebration of the event that would crown Olaf One-Eye High King. Even further though, Whiterun Hold is significant in the Dragonborn prophecy, where it contains the Throat of the World, the location of the Greybeards, and the Dragonborn's first showdown with Alduin the World Eater. So, in conclusion then, if you put both the economy and also Whiterun's history and culture together, it's really no wonder that both sides of the Civil War are willing to go to such lengths to take Whiterun. Even if the means differ, the end result is the same. Both sides need Whiterun in order to win the war in Skyrim. Well, that's about all there is to say for this video. I hope you had a good time watching it. I'm planning to make more videos like this in the future, but the format might change. Consider this video as a bit of an experiment. As for the next video, I've seen quite a few people talk about the Paarthurnax dilemma recently. I'd like to offer an, shall we say, alternate take on this, but with a bit of a twist. But whenever I get that out, I don't know. Either way though, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.